The most controversial American Girl doll ever was homeless. So let's talk about it. The doll in question is Gwen Thompson. Gwen was released in 2009 and she was one of the best friend dolls to the Girl of the Year, Krissa. Krissa also had one of the best American Girl movies of all time. If you know, you know. This is an Oscar award-winning film in my eyes. Krissa's entire story was about bullying, and Gwen was one of the characters that received a good amount of the bullying. It's explained in Krissa's story that Gwen and her mom are living in her mom's car after her parents' divorce. This is unfortunately a very real situation, and there's probably millions of kids that have to deal with homelessness. Gwen also greatly differs from the two other dolls that were offered with this collection, Sonali and Krissa. Krissa is bullied as well, but she's a girl that comes from a middle-class family, and Sonali was actually one of the mean girls, but then she learned to stand up against bullying and she becomes a friend. However, Gwen was met with a lot of criticism and a lot of pushback when she was released. This ABC News article from 2009 states that Gwen was the first ever homeless doll, or the first doll to ever have a homeless storyline. A representative for American Girl at the time said that the doll is meant to teach tolerance and is supposed to teach young girls about how to spot bullying and stand up and speak out against it. A criticism of Gwen at the time is that her storyline was too dark, too realistic, and too much for children to understand or be exposed to. But the fact is that homelessness affects millions of kids, so to say that middle class to upper class kids shouldn't be exposed to something that would probably affect their classmates is pretty ironic. American Girl dolls are priced at $115 now, but they've always been expensive and they've always been targeted at upper middle class to upper class families. So I think these privileged families being upset about this doll and her storyline speaks a lot to classism. I was one of those kids back in 2009 that was fortunate enough to have a pretty large American Girl doll collection, but I got Gwen as a kid and I love her. I loved her then and I love her now, and I think her storyline is important. We need to expose kids to difficult topics, especially difficult topics that their friends or their classmates or people that they're around may be experiencing. If anything, I would say dolls like Gwen are very important because they teach kids empathy and the ability to put yourself in other people's shoes when you may not have had that firsthand experience that they had. I think all the controversy around her is just silly. I thought it was silly at the time when I was 10, and I think it's silly now. She's a great doll. She has a great story. Go get Gwen. Krissa was the best Girl of the Year in my opinion ever. Just saying. She was the best.